Hi everyone. In this video, we'll be working on moving platforms. So stay tuned. Alright, welcome back everyone. And before we get started, I just want to say congrats because this is going to be like the last level component we work on before working on a level ourselves. So give yourself a pat on the back. But yeah, anyways, let's just get started on this moving platform. So I'm going to add a new scene. And we're going to do an other node, and I'm going to use an animatable body 3D, and we'll just call this moving platform. And the reason we're using an animatable body instead of like a rigid body or a character body is because when you're tweening these bodies, the animatable body tends to not be like jittery or kind of weird looking, so that's why I'm using it. Anyways, we can go ahead and add a CSG box now to kind of make our platform itself. I'm going to shrink it down. I'm dragging and holding Alt to do both sides at once. So make it kind of bigger. And I'm going to add a material, and we'll just make it like a reddish color, I guess. That's cool. Then we can add a timer. And what this timer is going to be like a pause timer. So when the platform's moving back and forth, it doesn't do it super fast, you know, it kind of pauses, has a delay, moves back, delays. So the player can kind of jump on it and kind of gather their bearings. And then finally, what we can add is a marker. And we can just call this like endpoint. And this is kind of going to identify where the platform is going to go. And as you can see, it's kind of hard to visualize, so I'm just going to add a sphere to make it a little easier to see. And I'm just going to shrink it down. So yeah, there we have our moving platform. And one more thing I wanted to do on the box is make it collidable. So yeah, now that we have that, I'm just going to save it in the objects. I have a moving platform folder, but go ahead and make one for yourself. And we can save it there. And now I'm going to add a script for us. So now that we have that, I'm going to give our moving platform a class name. And we can just go ahead and give it the name of moving platform. And we want to use some of these, so let's go ahead and control drag in our pause timer and our endpoint. I'm sorry about this, by the way. I don't really know what's going on right now. I think it's like a GitHub issue or something, so trying to ignore that. But anyways, now that we have those to access, I want to add an export variable. And we can call it like move duration, something like that. We'll make it a float. We'll make it like equal to like 5 seconds or something. And this is basically like how long does it take for the platform to get from one point to the other, sort of thing. So yeah, that's cool. And now we need to create some member variables. So we'll have something called moving to endpoint. We'll make it a boolean. We'll set it equal to false. And then we want to have a variable for our start position. And we'll make it a vector 3. Yeah, so anyways, in the ready function now we can just say start position is equal to global position. We can go ahead and start our pause timer immediately to get things going. And we can also say we want to hide our endpoint. So that's cool. Now when the pause timer is complete, and by the way, let's go ahead and give it some different parameters. So give it like a wait time of 3, so it pauses for 3 seconds. We'll make it a one shot. And now on timeout, what we want to do is we want to say moving to endpoint is equal to not moving to endpoint. So it's kind of setting it to the opposite of what it was. So it's kind of going back and forth between moving to the endpoint, which is true, and false, which is moving to the start point in our case. And then we can just do like some kind of new function called like move platform. So we can go ahead and create that function, and we can delete the process. We'll call it move platform. And inside that, we can go ahead and create a tween. And we'll say if moving to endpoint, and we'll say tween.tween property. We'll do our self. We'll do our global position. The final value should be our endpoint.global position. And we'll do it in our move duration. And one thing I want to do is set the easing, and we'll just do ease in out, and it'll just kind of make things a little smoother, a little cleaner for us. And then we'll say else, and we can just copy this over. And we can go ahead and say, instead of the endpoint.global position, let's just do the start position. And we don't need to do the global position because that's kind of what we have it set at in the ready. So yeah, we should be able to try it out and see how things go. And we actually want to do one more thing, and that's to kind of keep this function going in a circle. And we'll say await tween.finish. And then we can go ahead and start our pause timer again. So after the tween goes, it'll pause, and then it'll move the platform. So let's go ahead and throw it in our scene, our level. So in the environment, I'm just going to add a new node 3D. We'll call it moving platforms. And I'm just going to instantiate in a moving platform. And if we want to change the position of our endpoint, we can just go editable children, endpoint, move it around. But I mean, where it's at is fine. I'm actually going to move it down a little bit so it's easy to jump on. So we can go ahead and play, jump on our platform, and have it move. But as you can see, I kind of fell off of it. And that's because the platform and the marble kind of don't have a lot of friction between each other, or quote unquote friction. So what we kind of got to do is kind of cheat that. So in the next section, that's what we'll do. So yeah, keep an eye. Okay, so here I am back in the moving platform. And the solution I thought of for this whole friction issue, it's a bit hacky, but it seems to work pretty well. So let me show you how we do it. So what I want to do is add an area 3D. And we can call this marble detection area. We'll make sure it's looking for the player. And we'll add a collision mask, or a collision shape, excuse me. And we'll make it a box. And I just want it to be slightly bigger than our platform itself. So I'm holding down Alt to kind of expand and contract it. And yeah, something like that should be fine. So we can save it. And we're going to connect our body entered and our body exited signals to it. So first we want to add a new member variable called player touching. And what we can go ahead and say is if body dot owner dot isn't group player, then we can say player touching equals true. Otherwise, if they exit the body instead of enter it, they can make it false. And I accidentally made it a vector 3. Sorry about that. So make sure you make it a bool and default it at false, the player touching variable. Alright, so now in the process function, or physics process function, excuse me, what we can do is we can say if player touching, and before we get started on that, we want to add one more member variable called last position, because we want to track the last position of this platform. We'll make that a vector3, and we'll say if player touching. First we want to get a reference to our player, so we'll say variable player is equal to get tree dot get first node and group player, and we'll make sure that we're casting to the player, and then we'll do marble of type marble is equal to player dot marble, and then we'll make another variable called platform movement equal to global position minus our last position, and then we can say our marble dot global position is equal to or plus equal to our platform movement. And then lastly, we can just say our last position is equal to our global position. So there we have it for our physics process. If we go ahead and give our game a play, we can go ahead and see if it works. So we'll jump on the platform, and there we have it. Now the marble is no longer being rolled under the platform. It's staying with the platform and kind of sticking. Awesome. So there we have our moving platforms, guys. And like I said, this is going to be our last level component. So give yourselves a pat on the back, really. It's awesome that you got this far. In the next two videos, what we'll be doing is the first video will be how to make levels quote unquote the easy way, and then the video after that will be how to make levels quote unquote the hard way, with a little bit of a Blender lesson. So stay tuned for that. It should be pretty exciting. Thanks for watching, everybody.